The difference between a good motorcycle and a great motorcycle really boils down to how well it was developed. A BMW motor was never developed to be a 2-year lease that is then sold as a civilian bike. BMW police motorcycles are meant to be police motorcycles their entire life. That's why some of the largest agencies, not only in this country but worldwide, rely on BMW motorcycles to give them long-term reliability, durability, and excellent service. What makes a BMW police motorcycle different than the other competitors? The answer truly is our development process. And it starts in Germany. Many years before you ever get to see the new model, a team of highly experienced engineers is developing the new platform. With most police vehicles, the civilian counterpart is a much higher sales volume than the police side of the business. And it's no different with BMW. So the engineering team that's developing the platform of the next generation motorcycle works together with a highly talented team of engineers that specialize in authority vehicles. This team has been doing this for decades and knows and understands the authority market. What we do is we co-develop the BMW motorcycle together the same time the civilian bike is being developed. This way we're able to utilize as many common parts as possible. In some cases, modifying through the development process what will be on the civilian side so that it works in concert with the police side of the business. We engineer every piece of the development, including protection bar systems, sirens, wiring, etc. We want everything to work together and to fit correctly with the motorcycle. We need to stress test all of these components at the same time the basic motorcycle is being stress tested to ensure that these components can be supported where they attach. We've developed special saddlebags, for instance, for the authority business, different than any other saddlebag that we use on the civilian side. We also have radio box lids, etc. All these compartments work together in harmony. Cornering clearance is a major issue with police motorcycles, and BMW is proud to have the best cornering clearance of any major brand at 46 degrees. However, you as a rider need to know what's going to touch down first. And we know exactly what's going to touch, which is our foot peg feelers. We know in the development process what's going to touch down, when it's going to touch down, and how it's going to affect the handling of the motorcycle. A completely new wiring harness is used on the police version versus the civilian version, providing plug connections and accessories as well as shielding from interference, both radio frequency as well as magnetic interference, so that you have a system that will function properly, won't create noise in your radio communications equipment or in your radar or video systems. We know where every wire goes, where every cable tie goes. This development process ensures the highest possible quality during the assembly stages. Though there are too many things to talk about in detail, one of the most interesting components of the new development is called the Body Controller Authority. This is the box which controls all of the circuits used for police equipment. That means your radio, your radar, your push-to-talk systems, all of the different power sources for that equipment goes through the body controller. Some of you may have heard of a Copeland timer, which is a wonderful little device that is a timed relay system to allow when you turn on ignition and then turn it off. For instance, it's typically used for radios. It will allow the radio to stay on for 30 minutes and then shut off automatically, eliminating all parasitic loads. Oftentimes you'll see motorcycles with a Copeland timer or similar timer. We called it the power management module on the earlier bikes. The body controller is just like that timer system in that each output is programmed to be on a certain amount of time and then to automatically shut off. Overall, no circuits can be live longer than 30 minutes after ignition off. This will do wonders to save batteries, reduce wear and tear on equipment for when an officer accidentally leaves a device on, whether it be radar or some other item, radio, etc. It can't kill the battery of the motorcycle. The body controller also protects the battery from excessive discharge. If for whatever reason one of those devices or accessories attached is malfunctioning in discharging the battery at an extreme rate, the system will either shut down the lead if the amperage is too high, or if the voltage drops too low in the battery, it will systematically shut down the outputs. It will never allow the battery to be ruined by flattening it completely. This, for example, is a listing of all the different outputs of the body controller, how many amps each output can manage, and how long each output is active after ignition off. And as you can see, these settings are done at our factory. They're not a user serviceable setting. However, we've studied each of these items to ensure that we have the best operation of the components based on the desire of the agencies, as well as giving the motorcycle the best protection from discharging. An additional development at the factory was a connection bus strip at the forward end of the radio box. What we've done is created a place to make all of your common connections. Why? Because it saves time and money. Remember, installation labor is generally $1.50 to $1.60 a minute. Every minute that you save by making the connection more accessible and easier reduces the cost of the motorcycle, as well as improves any technician's ability to diagnose any type of malfunction that could come up in the future. These connection strips are positioned along with a cigarette lighter and two relays. One relay is used for shutting off a fairing speaker. The other relay is used for connecting power to the radio system. We've developed plug connections for very practical applications, such as helmet headset interface. We know most of our customers operate a SETCOM or PVP helmet headset interface unit. Together with integrated push-to-talk and push-to-PA switches, connecting a helmet headset interface now would take approximately 10 to 15 minutes versus several hours, because you don't have to run wires under the body panels, you don't have to make special mountings and brackets up on the handlebar. Everything is already in place. We've even incorporated a signal from the side stand so that when you flip the side stand down, a particular pin is energized at 12 volts. This tells systems such as used on PVP to transition from the vehicle radio to the body radio, the portable radio, then that the officer's motorcycle is stopped. Other connections include radar connections, where you have not only power and ground, but you have additional speaker inputs for the Doppler tone. There are 3 universal accessory outputs, accessory 1, 2, and 3. All 3 of those outputs can handle up to 2 amps each, and again are timed shutoffs so that there won't be parasitic loads. These can be used for thermal printers, computer chargers, cell phone chargers, etc. This view of the radio box also shows the positioning of the power strip, and there is a mocked-up radio to show the positioning. The body controller lies underneath, and the auxiliary battery lies under the rear portion. BMW redeveloped the siren used in Europe for use in the United States, and that required a considerable amount of effort, but what we were able to do was utilize a digital siren versus an analog siren. The digital siren uses far less current to produce the same amount of volume, which is 120 decibels. This siren is fully compliant with SAE J1849 and California Title 13, which means it is as loud, if not louder, than any other siren on the market, but you won't see that typical 100-watt RMS power because it does not draw 100 watts. It draws considerably less. However, it puts out the sound of a 100-watt siren. There's superior performance to our prior siren system. It works exactly the same way with a single button control. However, we did optimize the feel on the button. We had comments from agencies that said they would like the ability to do short chirps of the siren more easily. So we changed the sensitivity and timing of the button switch so that you can double tap it to get very short bursts of siren tone rather than using the air horn. However, you still have the typical press it for wail, press it again for yelp, press it a third time for hyper yelp. You press it a fourth time, it's back to wail. Anytime you press and hold, the siren shuts off. If you're operating in the state of California, as you probably know, you're not allowed to use hyper yelp, so there is a setting in the dealer diagnostic system where you can turn off the third siren tone, which is a requirement of California Title 13. Another cool feature of this siren is that it has diagnostic fault readout through the MOS diagnostic system, which means if there were ever a problem with the siren can actually communicate with the dealer's diagnostic system, and it stores faults if there are any, so the dealer can see what the issue was. An additional benefit in the workshop is that when connected to the MOS, the siren only operates at half volume, which is much safer for the co-workers in the workshop, reducing any likelihood of hearing damage from someone accidentally activating the siren in close proximity to other people who don't have hearing protection. To provide a complete police motorcycle, we know that we have to provide mountings for radio heads and antennas because most motorcycles have a mobile radio. So BMW developed a mounting for control heads that are commonly used in the US, including Kenwood, Motorola, etc. And we also included with it a location to mount the map light. This reduced the need for an additional bracket, and it also made it so that we can put a map light plug in the correct place so that installing a map light is a very simple task. However, this required a bit of engineering because, as you might imagine, this part had to be mounted to the handlebar before the handlebar was installed on the motorcycle. So there had to be clearance for the different machine tools. That's what you see in this drawing. Some of our development is brought about by feedback from officers, our customers. We maintain an open line to all of our customer base through the BMW Authority website. One of the small items that actually will make a big difference in day-to-day maintenance is having side-mounted Schrader valves for tire pressure adjustment. Though it may seem like a small thing, it's very important to be able to easily add air pressure to your tires because tires are the greatest single expense in a police motorcycle, and it's oftentimes low tire pressure is a cause of premature tire wear or tire failure. So having the right pressure is important, and being able to easily adjust it is key. Another area of feedback that we heard from many of our customers was not everyone was completely in love with our new handlebar switches that we introduced in 2010. Particularly the activation of the siren and the emergency lights. For some, the reach to the center button was just a little too far, and they asked that we make an improvement. What we came up with is a completely new handlebar switch for both the right and the left side that incorporates more features and the most common features at the most ergonomically simple position for activation, i.e. the emergency lights and siren are closest to the thumb on the underside of the grip. We then replaced the functions that used to be there with, in the center position on the rocker, with pace lock and with radio speaker off, which is another feature that many agencies asked for and we're in fact installing through a toggle switch on the dashboard. This enables you to mute the radio speaker and the dashboard in case you've got a violator that is within earshot of your radio and you don't want them to hear what's being discussed on the radio. The left switch incorporates the standard functions you're familiar with, such as takedown lights and alley light functions. We also gained the switch function for the auxiliary headlight. We gained a push to talk, a push to PA, and the unmarked position of PTT2. The PTT2 position allows the user to activate any optional device, whether it be a license plate reader, manually starting a video system, or it could be something totally different. When you press the switch, you'll get a 12-volt signal at a pin on the helmet headset interface plug. It could actually be used to do any number of different things. By incorporating the push-to-talk and push-to-PA switches in the factory switch housing, this likely will save the average agency over 2 hours of labor to otherwise run these connections for their helmet headset interfaces. Also, by using a high-quality factory switch, the likelihood is that there'll be fewer malfunctions of this switch because it meets BMW standards for environmental, waterproof standards, etc. So it should perform reliably for years and years to come. Another request that we heard from agencies was they did not like taking the ignition key out to open the radio box, which they've had to do on the prior model. So we produced an electronic radio box release. This way you can press that button within 30 seconds after ignition off, and an electronic solenoid will open the radio box lid. In the event of a major power failure or an accident where the power source is destroyed, the seat can be removed and one can manually activate the release for the radio box. Another feature that engineering developed was weather protection. You know, an officer can never be too comfortable on a motorcycle, and we want to make sure that the officer is shielded from excessive heat in the summertime, from excessive cold in the wintertime, and shielded from wetness when it rains. The added benefit of weather protection is that it keeps the motorcycle cleaner and it's easier to clean, reducing the amount of time you spend making your motorcycle in perfect condition for your job. Although the BMW system monitors and adjusts the voltage in the auxiliary battery, or the rate of charge to the auxiliary battery, it's still helpful for an officer to understand what the voltage in the system is, because quite honestly, if you've got unusual patrols where you're doing more radar stops than actually running, or you're doing a tremendous number of starts and stops and not physically riding the motorcycle enough to recharge or replenish the power that's removed from starts, then it's helpful to know the condition of your system. And BMW voltage monitoring, which is a selectable feature in the board computer, allows you to view the voltage on the dashboard, and you can see if the motorcycle is correctly charging. A very helpful feature. This way, if you find you've used the bike in such a way to discharge the battery substantively, you'll know to select a lower gear, run the motorcycle a little differently to get your state of charge restored. Electronic cruise control. That's an interesting feature. In the past, we used a throttle friction screw. However, after the advent of the e-gas or electronic throttle system, a friction screw is no longer able to be used. Cruise control was adopted from the civilian side. However, it's not just civilian cruise control. It has been redeveloped to operate at any operable speed, which is generally 9 miles per hour or faster, which is the speed of a fast idle in first gear with clutch fully released. Cruise control enables the officer to set the speed and release the right hand to use for signaling or other momentary needs. However, if you pull in the clutch or press the brakes, the system is released so that the throttle does not stay on in the event of a quick decision to decelerate. While developing the new rear lighting housing, we saw the possibility to position a light in a way to illuminate the saddlebags. Though it's not used all the time, it's very handy to not have to hold a flashlight and to be able to find something in the saddlebag while keeping your hands free and available for whatever other needs are possible. The saddlebag light works on a proximity sensor, so as you rub your finger near the lens, the light will turn on and stay on for 15 seconds, then automatically shut off. It provides good illumination in the saddlebags, which is great for nighttime use or when pulling into a darker parking garage, etc. One of the benefits of the new electrical system is that we're able to program various functions into the motorcycle to give you enhanced features without charging additional costs. And one of them is a headlight flasher. In the old days, you needed a large body headlight flasher with big relays that would wig-wag your headlights, and it required chopping into the wiring harness and doing all sorts of things which sometimes messed with the light control system. The new motorcycle provides the ability for alternating high and low beam in 3 different frequencies, 1, 1.5, or 2 hertz, which means that 60, 90, or 120 flashes per minute, or you have the ability to not have that feature activated. Alternating headlight will only function when the emergency lights are turned on and while there is a high amount of ambient light, in other words, daytime. When the light is low, a light sensor in the dashboard of the motorcycle prevents the alternating headlights from functioning, thereby reducing the likelihood that it'll be distracting for the driver, who in low light requires the headlight for visibility. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you found it interesting. However, if you have any questions of any kind, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can do so by clicking on Contact Us on the Police Motors website, and any question that you send will be answered. Thanks a lot, and ride safe.